Good evening, everybody. David Paul here in the KHOU 11 Weather Center. It is a Wednesday evening on September the 3rd, and so we really are in the heart of the peak, statistically, of hurricane season. Statistics are one thing, what's actually happening is usually another. Usually at this time, we've got an active system or two or three or more going in the Atlantic. As we head toward the peak, the statistical peak of activity right there, which is on September the 10th. So for the next couple of weeks, we're in the heart of the season. That doesn't mean that you're automatically going to have a bunch of hurricanes out there, but it just means that this time of the year, looking back the past 30, 40 years, this is usually when the basin is at its most active. Just to compare and contrast, early in the season, if we're going to get development, the waters get warm first here in the Western Caribbean and the Gulf. And we did see several storms develop in the Gulf and off the East Coast early in the season. Compared to now, if we're going to see development, the entire basin is basically wide open for business. And you can get development really anywhere across the basin as the waves are statistically usually more vigorous this time of the year, and there's plenty of warm water. And quite often this time of the year, upper level winds will relax a little bit over the open Atlantic, the main development region, and you'll get more activity out there. And in fact, there is a system out there that has a high probability of developing. We'll look at that here in just a moment. Once again, the seasonal forecast from Colorado State University, their mid-season update, calls for 16 named storms. Compare that to a normal season, statistical normal season of 14 named storms per season. So they're calling for a little bit above average season, 8 hurricanes and 3 majors. So far, we've only had 1 hurricane, but it was a major. It's been kind of an odd season. It's the outlier. Aaron became Cat 5. That's the one that missed the islands, missed Bermuda, missed the east coast of the United States, was basically a fish storm, but a major Cat 5 hurricane, became a dangerous one. Compared to all the others that have developed around Aaron, Andrea, Barry, Chantal, Dexter, and Fernand were all minimal tropical storms that didn't last very long. So far, it's been, a little bit below normal as far as our accumulated cyclone energy index up to this point in the season. We'd expect to see a little bit more activity. We're a little bit behind, but the tropics can make up for that in a hurry with a couple of big storms. And in fact, Gabrielle, the next name on the list, is likely to become a hurricane over the next several days. So that one will get things at least a little bit busier in the open Atlantic. We still have some dust to deal with, but I want you to look at this dust forecast carefully when I put it in motion. This is where we stand right now with another plume coming off the west coast of Africa. Again, this is kicked up by these thunderstorm lines that develop this time of the year over central and western Africa. And as they rain out, they produce gusty wind at the surface, and it just kicks up the atmosphere, kicks the dust up, billions and trillions of tons of dust over a season, and that dust comes across the Atlantic basin. Sometimes it gets in here, giving us hazy skies. Quite often it ends up in the Amazon rainforest, where the dust is rich in nutrients, specifically phosphorus, where the dust replaces the phosphorus that all the rain in the rainforest leaches out of the soil. So it's a symbiotic relationship with the dust that comes off the west coast of Africa. When I put this in motion, if you watch right in here, watch from here, and as that moves along to about here or so, you're going to notice a twist to the dust forecast. Watch right here. There it is. Can you see it curly-cueing right there? So curly-cueing because models are picking up on the good possibility that we're going to get a tropical storm or hurricane forming even within that plume of dust. And the wave that's going to form that is right here. Doesn't look like much this evening. And first of all, as we look at this, the first thing we look at, Carib, Gulf, no development here, nothing expected here. So for the moment, there's nothing knocking on our door to give us anything to be overly concerned about. But again, things can change very quickly this time of the year. So make sure you watch this once a day. But again, that's our tropical wave that looks likely to become a tropical depression, tropical storm, or hurricane right in here. There's a little bit of circulation there near the surface. Hurricane Center right now giving this an 80% chance for development. Just to set your bearings, there's the center of the wave. The Cape Verde Islands, there's the west coast of Africa where the dust is set to come off with another plume here. There's our spot, 80% chance for development right here. So even if this were to develop into a hurricane overnight, which it won't, we're several thousand miles away from the east coast of the U.S. or the Gulf. So we've got plenty of time to watch this. And at the moment, nothing forecast to develop near us on our doorstep for the next several days. So we don't ever let our guard down. We can relax this weekend. But again, the rule is this time of year, make sure you're getting a weather update somewhere once a day in case something decides to develop here. It has happened before several times over the history. Okay, computer runs on this system, which could become Gabrielle, are interesting. Now, this is long range, so take this long range. This is about 10 days out. Take it with a grain of salt. But what we've got here are the model results from the American model in red and the European model in black. American model, the GFS, has been very steady in bringing this storm north of the eastern Caribbean islands, north of the Windward Islands. While the European model has been very consistently putting a weaker storm, into the eastern Caribbean as we head into the middle of September, into September 12th. This would be next Friday, so we're 9 days out. This is a 9-day forecast, long-range forecast, so things can change between now and then, but that's what the models are putting out right now. One thing you also notice is they don't develop anything new in the Carib or the Gulf. Good. So we'll wait and see which one of these, or if it's an average of the two, end up happening with potential tropical storm or Hurricane Gabrielle. If it is the American model, that is an intense hurricane it's forecasting, perhaps a major hurricane, and that would be in the same spot, if you remember, where Aaron became Cat 5, missed everything, and then curved up between the Carolinas and Bermuda. So we'll have to wait and see if that's able to follow on the exact same track that Aaron took, a very classic hurricane track. Right? That's the Atlantic. On the Pacific side, it's interesting, and we have to pay attention to the Pacific side because we're going to get rain this weekend from the remnants of Lorena. We got a couple of systems out here in the East Pac. Kiko is a major hurricane moving west. Last check, winds are at 130 with Kiko. That's in the open Pacific and at the moment not threatening anybody. Lorena is a Cat 1 hurricane. It's sitting just to the west of Cabo San Lucas off the tip of the Baja. So Cabo's right here. There is Lorena. And right now winds at 80 in Lorena. The storm itself is forecast to begin to dissipate as it curves back toward the Baja over the next couple of days, and the storm will be ripped apart. But all the moisture from this hurricane will be gathered up, pulled across Mexico and into Texas. And this is a very common outcome for Pacific tropical systems as we begin to turn into fall and they get caught up in these mid-latitude troughs, these cold fronts that are now beginning to sag further south, gets caught up in that flow, the moisture gets pulled in, and this type of scenario can be a very heavy rainmaker for New Mexico, for Texas, for Louisiana, for Oklahoma, and looks like it's going to be a potentially heavy rainmaker for Texas. There's a closer look at Lorena, winds at 80 miles an hour, Cat 1 hurricane. Wouldn't expect to see an eye with a Cat 1, but the center's right in here. Again, there's Cabo, La Paz, and right now the system is a couple hundred miles to the west of Cabo San Lucas, but you can see they've got some pretty heavy rain up the coast from Cabo. Forecast track takes this in as a tropical storm Friday night. Those are tropical storm warnings up for the Pacific coast of the Baja. Moves it across the Gulf of California and then into northwest Mexico, where the mountains will break up the circulation. But again, all the moisture is going to just keep on trucking and move right into Texas. And it will be kind of a double whammy. It's not just the moisture from Lorena, but it is also going to be an approaching cold front. You know, we're already in meteorological fall. Begins September 1st. Here comes the front. This is Sunday. I stopped it on Sunday at 3:30, and you can see the widespread rain and thunderstorms that are expected across central, south, southeast Texas. That's Sunday. I just want to kind of back this up. I want to take a little closer look at Saturday. Let's go back to Saturday. So that's 4:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. So Saturday, we're going to begin to see a little bit better chance for scattered showers, but really the bulk of the moisture is still over West Texas and Mexico on Saturday afternoon. So it really is, just taking another look at that, it really is as we head into Sunday, early to mid-afternoon, that the rain begins to fall across a big chunk of Texas. Now with an approaching front that acts like a lifting mechanism and all that tropical moisture, we know how this can cause significant rain. Right now, we don't have a huge flood threat, but we're several days out from this. So the Storm Prediction Center is working on this, and they've got a flood outlook. I'll show it to you here in just a minute. Real quickly, this is a broad brush look at potential rain totals Saturday, Sunday. Nothing over the top. But again, this is several days out, so this could change. But anywhere in the purple to lighter blue to purple, you're talking about 1.25 to 2 inches of rain. So a wide portion of central Texas right in here could see 1 to 2, probably isolated 3-inch rain totals. For the Houston area, in the green and the darker blue, that's basically 1/4 inch to 1 inch of rain. For our area, that's what the rainfall potential is suggesting for us. Again, this is just a suggestion this far out. And you can see there could be a band of heavier rain in spots across north and north central Texas. So that's the rainfall outlook. And really, it says 7-day rainfall outlook. This is for Saturday and Sunday. I expect the next couple of days to be pretty dry, but Saturday, especially Sunday, could be very wet. Okay, and the Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and looked ahead and put out a flood risk outlook for Sunday. This is specifically just for Sunday. And in yellow, Stephenville to Brady to Junction. So it's northwest Texas. It's a northern part of the hill country, northwest of San Antonio. In a slight risk, that would be a 2 out of a 4-tiered threat level. For Houston and the rest of Texas, for the moment, they have it in a marginal or a 1 out of a 4-tiered threat for Houston, the greater Houston area, and southeast Texas. When we see this, we expect to see isolated street ponding, isolated street flooding in some of the isolated heavier downpours. So at the moment, we're not forecasting anything over the top here. But I got to tell you, anytime you've got a tropical atmosphere from a tropical system, a hurricane coming into Texas with an approaching front, I don't care what the models say, that is the setup that can cause some heavy rain. So we will be paying attention for that as we head through the coming weekend. And here's the extended forecast for Houston. For Thursday and Friday, I think we're dry and hot. And in fact, tomorrow morning, a smidge lower humidity. I'm not talking about a fall morning tomorrow, but a smidge lower humidity. So get your running early tomorrow morning. And then 98 Thursday afternoon. Friday, 95. Saturday, we'll bring in a 30% chance for rain. That is some of the moisture coming in from Lorena. Sunday, I've got a 70% chance for rain. We'll watch for any potential problems. And then that moisture and that front lingers Monday morning. I think that 60% rain chance is mostly for Monday morning, the commute Monday morning. So if you have plans, you got stuff you got to get done, be advised Monday morning could still bring rain and thunder showers. And then what's forecast to happen is that front pushes a little further south and we get a little lower humidity, which results in lows in the low 70s on Tuesday morning. That'll be a treat. All right, that's where we stand. Next live update is on KHOU 11 News at 10 o'clock tonight. We'll see you then.